Now, there's been an analysis that Labour town halls could have fixed more than 30,000 potholes with money that they instead spent on woke causes. Figures show Labour council chiefs spent 1.5 million on equality, diversity and inclusion training over 2022 to 23. And the average pothole in the UK costs £50 to fix, meaning this would be enough to repair the thousands of potholes causing havoc all over Britain. Just take a look at the potholes in the news today. This 5-foot abyss is, funnily enough, in a Labour constituency, sent a Deliveroo cyclist flying and smashed a BMW, and you can see somebody poking out of it. Labour has disputed the figures from the West Midlands Council, saying it spent £5,000 on EDI rather than the $500,000 suggested by the EDI. But I'm now joined by the great woke warrior, Kelvin Mackenzie, former editor of The Sun, and the Labour MP, Lloyd Russell-Moyle. Lloyd, as it's Labour councillors, I'll give you the first go at this. Shouldn't they be dealing with the potholes rather than giving us equality and diversity training?
I'm pleased you come to the wokerati first. I agree that they should be dealing with the basics, and my understanding is that what has been looked at here is the line equality and diversity, which includes things like Meals on Wheels. And the Midlands Council that you're referring to says that 390 plus thousand was Meals on Wheels, and only 5,000 of that line was training. So if we want Meals on Wheels to be scrapped in favour of potholes, I'm afraid I don't agree. I think Meals on Wheels are a vital service for our older people, and training the Meals on Wheels providers to understand the needs of a diverse group of older people that might not have microwaves or certain kinds of facilities, that might have certain dietary needs, is also a very important set of trainings. So I suspect this is a bit of political propaganda that all sides take part in, where they take figures and make them sound really awful, whereas it's not really the reality just before local elections. Do you not agree,
well,
Jacob?
First of all, can I thank you for being very careful not to mention the local council involved, because we must avoid mentioning specific councils where there are elections for the obvious purdah reasons. It seems to me they're a very odd classification to say that Meals on Wheels are diversity.
Well, they're equality, aren't they? They're making sure that people can equally eat when they are older,
Aren't they social services? Aren't they just a normal social services classification?
I don't really care what you call it as long as the service happens.
I agree with that, but if you get funny accounting from councils, aren't you going to expect people to interpret them as according to what they say?
And if you want funny accounting from council, of course, there are a number of councils who haven't revealed, as they are required to do, how much their chief executives are getting paid, which I would say was a massively important issue. We can't name the council, but thanks to various payoffs, pension contributions and God knows what, I see that one CEO of a council in the south, I think we can say that, picked up more than £600,000 last year. And it's this kind of number has two effects on you. First of all, you say, this is what happens, it's our money, and they're taking it away in wheelbarrows. And the second thing that happens for me, somebody who's been in the media most of their life, is there aren't any local papers that actually reveal or study any of what's happening to literally tens of hundreds of millions of pounds. So take potholes. Where are the pressure groups? There's no I live in the south, right? There are no pressure groups to get the potholes down. Round my way, literally, they could start a new underground system. They are enormous things, and actually there is a pleasure in knowing where they are. You no longer look for ahead, you look down and you say, oh, there's old Tommy, round we go. But for cyclists and the lot, there was literally 3 years ago in my area, guy killed into a pothole, cycling over the top, dead, right? And yet, funnily enough, this wasn't a big national scandal. Right now what's going on is a national scandal. Our council taxes are going up, whether it's under Labour administrations or under Tory ones, and people are saying to themselves, it is a lot of money by way of council tax now. This is not nothing. Previously, right, people are saying, well, where does our money go? But because I know this is conflating a number of arguments, but because we haven't got local media in that kind, because there is no money. All the money has gone to Google and Facebook. I understand all that, right? But we have no investigation of where the cash is going.
Isn't this a real problem that Politicians all say what a good thing it is to have local democracy and how they're in favour of devolution. And then when you get devolution, it runs things really badly.
No, I don't think that's necessarily true. We have a problem at the moment in local councils that they are doing some things that they shouldn't be doing because the wrong things have been devolved, and things that they should be doing then are defunded. Social care, for example, is not a voluntary activity. It is an activity that is mandated by the government, but is not paid for by the government.
Well, they're getting extra funding this year, and they did last year.
They are getting
and a council tax.
They are getting a percentage. If you take in Brighton or any local authority, but I'm from Brighton, our council tax take is £150 million a year. £100 million of that. This is the discretionary money we get. This is excluding the grants that also pay for additional bits of social care. £100 million of the council tax take is spent on adult social care every year. Now, if that was covered by government, because it's government that requires that to be paid for. It's government that, if the council doesn't provide that, will allow the council to be taken to court. Then the councils would have enough to do the potholes, to do the streets, to do the stuff that everyone expects your council to do.
But this argument is exactly the argument that used to be made about education. If you take education away from councils, which it now is because most of the money goes directly from schools, then they'd have all this discretion to do the things that really matter. There's always something that councils say take up all their money.
Can I tell you what takes up...
Education budget has always been a direct grant that was either given to the council or given to the schools. What we have with adult social care is there is no direct grant that covers the bulk of it. The grant that comes from government only covers a very tiny bit.
If you go back to the 1990s, you will find there was a strong argument saying just take education out of the council's budget and then they'll have discretion to do the potholes and the dustbin collections.
Okay, well, one of the things they can't afford, one of the things none of us can afford, are the pension contributions from the local authority. I mean, literally 30% of your money is now going on... Look, I don't want to be unkind to people, but I have said on a number of occasions, I was in the council offices in my local area. I could have fired a cannon every half an hour all day and not killed anybody. There is nobody in those offices.
I hope the police would have stopped you.
Actually, the police are actually in there, within those offices. So they could have nipped it.
You probably would have struggled to find them as well, because the problem is that we have this decrepitation of all public services at the moment, where you can't get police to come to crimes, you can't get ambulances to turn up.
You can if you're a woman praying when 6 of them turn up to arrest you.
Well, maybe, but you can't get the council to do basic services. There is a problem that this country is crumbling, and I don't know...
Don't tell me you think that you may have a solution in about 18 months' time.
I don't know what the cause directly is, but what I do know is that is the same in Scotland when you have a single party controlling the organs of government for too long. They run out of ideas, they run out of vigour, and I think that's what we've got here in England and what we've had in Scotland, and that's why we need in both areys a fresh pair of eyes.
I'd love to see a Starmer try and A, deal with COVID, B, deal with the backwash of Ukraine and the energy prices and inflation. We have had a catastrophe of things, not helped, by the way, by the top level of the administration.
You're preempting our next discussion, which teases up nicely. My panel will be back in a moment, and of course, in the interests of fairness, as you've heard from me, a Conservative MP, a Labour MP, we ask the Lib Dems for their stance on the matter and await their reply.